Can we step the game up on the intro music?
Ooh,
he did step it up.
Rocket Man.
Just patience, Padawan.
Patient young grasshopper.
Hello, fellers. How we doing?
Howdy.
You know what? You're having fun when you're doing this
How?
because it's been a minute since we recorded, and I've actually missed it.
I have too, actually. I was just thinking about the fact that it's been a full week, almost. Not even a full week. It's been 6 days.
We started last October in 2022,
Yeah.
and I don't know, have we taken a week break, except for when you went on your fishing excursion?
Europe got in the way. Yeah, that'd be the only legit break.
Yeah.
So you guys are saying you missed it?
Well, and I think our fans are reaching out, or maybe not reaching out, and they're pissed.
I was surprised you guys made it in without getting, mugged for not putting something up.
Well, my question is, if you guys missed it so much, where's my Hallmark card? Miss you.
I sent it to Kim.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. We're back, rolling in with a little bit of Sir Elton John today. I love the song. Everybody loves the song, realistically. Find me anybody in the world that doesn't like this song, and I'll call bullshit. Or they're AI. It's a robot.
Find me somebody that doesn't like Elton John and they have an agenda. If for whatever reason we can go down that road, which we're not going to because it's a soccer podcast. If you don't like Elton John, there's something wrong with your ears.
Well, playing this one today because, all of us have kids, obviously, right? But there's points in raising your children where certain things occur that are like, the next ratchet, the next level. You get rid of sippy cups and you're like, oh, yeah, or diapers, right? Oh, no more diapers, no more sippy cups. And then there comes a point, like in my household, in which you get to watch cool movies with your kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no more Pixar only, no more PG world. And the other night, Beckett
Do you guys watch Basic Instinct?
Not yet. I'm still trying to get Kim to watch that one with me. You know the movie? This one?
Rocket Man?
Nope. Where they're all on the bus, tour bus, singing.
Oh, Almost Famous?
Almost Famous.
I like her. And I like the aviator glasses on the front of the deal.
Yeah, great movie. Beckett and I watched it the other night. In the last 3 weeks, we've kind of checked 2 off the list of must-watch movies. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And Almost Famous.
Mm-hmm.
I watch Oh Brother, We're Out There. Where I'm not even going to say where. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, guru of pronunciation.
You were just in about a tight spot.
I wasn't in a tight spot. I watch that every time it's on.
He's our
it's like Forrest Gump,
in-house editor, taking notes of all the mispronounced words. If you want a copy of the list of mispronounced words, just email us at soccerdadpod@gaslightstl.com, and Zach will send them out to you. We're back for another episode of the Soccer Dad Pod. Really, really appreciate all the support, listens, and follows. You guys, we've been off a week, and the numbers just keep moving. So that just tells us, a lot of you are listening, and you're going back, and you're catching the older interviews, and it says a lot about the interest in soccer in general, and especially our guests. So thank you. I just want to throw that out there first. Secondly, I obviously want to thank our 2 primary supporters. We have Axes PT, axespt.com, helping all of our little ones and big ones and middle ones recover from those sprains and strains and et al. In a new world here in Missouri in particular. Doctor's referrals are optional. You don't need them. You got the bang up. Head over there, check them out. They'll help you out. And then our boys, Chris and Bill, at the
PinnacleLoans.com.
That's
You're
right.
my boy, Blue.
You're my boy, Blues, the undefeated freshman from back in the CBC days.
Yeah.
Perfect season. He actually corrected me on that when we met a little while back.
Yeah, we keep saying undefeated, and he wants to go perfect.
Yeah, he wants us to change the verbiage.
No draws.
Yeah, but, it's still freshman soccer, Chris.
It is.
Been waiting
He's going to yell
that
He's going to yell
for
at
a
me.
really long time.
But, hey, you can only play who you're scheduled against, and if you win every game and you don't draw or you don't lose, it's perfect.
Perfect season.
So hey,
You didn't do it.
I didn't play freshman soccer. You're right.
See?
Quick recap. Also, last episode we had out in the world, we had Kevin and Aaron, two of the fellers that are key cogs in the wheel over at the Luligan Enterprise. Gave us a cool little conversation about Luligan operations, motive, MO, etc. Super cool. I mean, it's just, there are things that we as soccer fans, especially when you go to City Park and you see what the supporter section does and the TIFOs and, everybody knows about Schlafly and what they do there, but really understanding kind of the path and why and what they do and, raising money for charity, etc. It was cool. It was a fun.
Yeah, they raised almost $35,000 this season for the variety of charities that they support.
$35,000.
Yep.
Really?
Might be more than that, but that's what I saw on their Twitter page.
Oh.
Wow.
Which is significant.
We also need to talk about, because we haven't done it. We on Saturday before the game, we went to their tailgate.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah, go ahead. I want you to do it because you'll talk more eloquently about it. How about that vocabulary?
That's a big word.
Did you see how he slowed down on that? Eloquently. He put, you know what he did? He put his finger on his chin so he could count the syllables. I got it right.
No, it was so Jared and I walked over about an hour and a half before game time, and they were finishing up their tall boy roulette, which we talked about.
I got a bone to pick with him.
Which is kind of funny because Jared donated a tall boy and didn't get to play, but it's a cool atmosphere.
Did he pout?
A little bit.
It's pay to play. Was he like a soccer mom?
No, I was actually like,
why did he not get minutes?
I think he actually came out ahead by donating whatever tall boy he did and not have to drink one.
Yeah,
in
Did we
total.
get some of Kevin's milk too? I think we
had
did.
some Kevin's milk, Kevin's chocolate milk, which is a nice little blend of liquors and chocolate milk and really delicious. But music, it's a lot of people. They've got cigars to sell. They've got food to sell. Like cupcakes and things like that.
Their trailer's pretty slick.
It's nice. They got a little arcade next to it. The kids can play, and it's right next to Schlafly, so you can go in and get a meal, or you can go in and get beer. But I highly, highly, highly recommend before this playoff game that's scheduled for Sunday night at 9 p.m. Central Time, stop by. I'm mad about it. I'm just mad about it.
Well, let's move on because I think you have a bone to pick, and we don't want to take the thunder away from the Luligans.
No,
Well,
I'm not. It has nothing to do with Luligans. I'm just, yeah.
No, Zach just,
I get angry about things.
He's got a deep pocket of toothpicks that he just likes to poke around to random subject matter.
It was related.
Kind of.
Very.
I mean, we could have a roulette wheel here of global topics, and you would have a bone to pick.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can find something for sure. Yeah.
Well, let's get into the pinnacle points of the day here. Perfect timing. In fact, you know what, Zach? You're first. Let's hear what bone to pick you got today.
Well, ironically, I had a bone to deal with today because, as some of you know, a deer tried to jump out of my yard into my neighbor's yard, and I have a 4-foot aluminum fence.
4-foot fence.
Black fence with like
Jared
squares.
could still jump that thing.
Exactly.
I could do a backflip over that right now.
No spikes.
He could do a gainer. We have video of it.
But the wickets are 8 inches apart, and this deer jumped.
Wickets?
And
You mean the ballasts?
I don't know, what do you call them?
Yeah.
Ballasts?
Not wickets.
Okay. Sure.
I don't think it's wickets.
Wickety wicket.
I'm not a fence guy.
I think it's the ballasters.
I think that sounds more like something in your house, but whatever.
Okay.
The posts. Anyway, not posts.
Hey, if you're a fence and deck guy and you want to sponsor
whatever.
our show, contact us and make sure we get it right next time.
But on the top, they're squared off, like little 8-inch squares. The deer's back leg went into one of those squares, and the momentum it took over the fence caught it and broke it in half. And it happened overnight.
I saw the picture. I mean, it was very Joe Namath-esque.
The deer.
Did you do backstraps last night?
Anyway, I had to take it down today, and so a good friend Jeff Overmark came over, and we had to cut the deer down.
I do think the funnier part of the story is whenever you put out the public request for help or you called first. Let's start with the highest quote.
Oh, yeah. The quote for critter removal was $850 to take a deer away. And I thought, man, that seems a little high for what this is.
It's zip code pricing.
Well, they said, well, it's a full-size deer. And I said, yeah. And they go, oh, well, yeah, full-size deer, that's $850.
I think people that live in your neighborhood who definitely have a deer issue,
we do have a deer issue,
who call a place for a critter removal and get a quote, you're high. Deal with it. Don't call anybody. Pick it up, cut it up, throw it in your neighbor's yard, throw it in the fucking trash can, do something. Don't call anybody to pay any money to get rid of a deer.
I mean, you guys do pay a lot of taxes out there. Why don't you just like hacksaw the leg, drag the thing in the street, and call a street department?
I thought about that.
Because that's what we do in the city.
Because that's what Ellisville told me. They're like, well, it's on private property. We can't do anything about it. I'm like, well, okay, so if I brought it out to the street.
Oh, my God. Pinnacle point number 2, J-Rod. What you got today?
Man, I'm going to do it, and I hate to do it, and I don't mean to come off smug, but I watched our foe for Sunday, the lead-in match last night, and I'm just going to just spitfire some random points, but I'm going to finish it with a point. And this is going to come off a little bit arrogant, and I'm sorry, because who the hell am I? But Sporting KC completely dominated the game against San Jose. I thought for sure we were playing them the whole time. Don't care who we play. It will be nice to beat Sporting. It will suck to lose to them in our little 3-game series coming up.
It would suck hypothetically if that were to happen.
Hypothetically is the right word. Good
qualify
pronunciation
your
again.
answer there.
I would love to talk to Mr. Ralston and Gonzalez, the coach. Why they didn't play Cade Cowell the whole game is just baffling, because he was the most dynamic player on the field the second half. That's just one small point, and I'll let you guys discuss it.
Well, no, let me jump in on that real quick, because as the game was going and Cowell in those last 30, 35 minutes,
yep.
In my mind, as much as we got Kansas City. It paints a perfect picture, right? If we're going to truly year one make this claim, to a degree, you have to beat them in the playoffs, especially the way this thing's laid out.
We could play them 6 times this year. That's amazing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Watching Cade for those 30, 35 minutes or so, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to play him.
No.
I don't want. I would rather play Kansas City than that guy.
And here's where I'm going to come off crazy. Watching those penalty kicks.
Oh, my God.
I mean, and I know these guys are pros, and this is where I'm going to come off a little bit arrogant and whatnot, and who the hell am I? Was that an under 10 recreational game with those first 3 penalty kicks that the San Jose took? Those were the worst 3 penalty kicks I've ever seen. After the whole build-up about Mejia or whatever his name is, the Sporting goalie and his stats and how good he is at penalty kicks, that guy's good at penalty kicks because the first 3 players
didn't hit it anywhere near him.
I mean, the one kid, Huell, who missed against him, he shot it 10 yards over the goal. Yeah, that was worse than Roberto Baggio. Still hasn't landed. Yeah. Secondly, the first penalty kick, the guy almost got hurt.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I couldn't even believe just how they showed up for penalty kicks.
It's almost as if the body language is, as they were walking, it was like they had googly eyes with the goalie and were like pointing, I'm going to go right there. And the dude, it was like slow steps into the lane. Like,
you could have put a cone in the goal, and the first 2 would have been saved.
Pretty close. Yeah.
I was embarrassed for San Jose, and Rawson's a friend of the show, and I love him to death. And I guarantee you, those players, and not to kick them when they're down, or the organization, I guarantee you, they're saying the same thing. We have to be better.
Yeah. Look, as good as the goalie has been for KC, at some point, pick your spot and hit the ball 85 miles per hour. Just run through it. You know, because you watched Mealy. How do you pronounce his name? Zach, this is to you.
I have no idea.
That's the whitest
Kansas-
dude with
Kansas
Amelia
keeper.
in a little
It's Miela.
IA.
Yeah,
Melia
okay,
thing.
that
I don't
guy,
know.
Yeah.
Kansas goalie. That's what we're gonna call him.
Yeah.
like
That guy's last name should be
He literally
Patrick.
just walked left and right down the line. Really. Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk more about Kansas soccer in here in a little bit. My pinnacle point of the day is this. I've had a few people reaching out to me about topics, subject matter, as it applies to, excuse me, a little bit of high school soccer, and more importantly, the transition into college, recruiting, kids preparing themselves, etc. And one thing occurred to me, and here's my point. For all of you high school coaches out there, and frankly, to you club coaches as well, and parents, I think you need to step back a little bit and ask your players and or your child, what is your goal? What do you want? Do you want to play high school, for example, the high school debate that I was having? Yeah. Do you want to play high school soccer because you want to go on to the next level? Do you want to play college soccer? Do you want to play with buddies? Do you want to just represent your school? Or do you just not want to come home and do chores? Whatever it is, let's create a list of options and let's figure out what your priority is. Because in talking to coaches, a few coaches, high school coaches in particular, that are competing and entering into the playoffs, I know of a few of these teams that have good players, quality players that are on the fence and could probably have went the academy route and or moving up, go play college ball. And what I'm finding out is they have no interest in playing college ball. But here's my point. Coaches are projecting their program's expectation, the program's value relative to club and or vice versa in areas in which the kids don't care. Because one of the biggest arguments that high school coaches have been making lately to me behind the scenes is this. We can get them there too. Okay, great. I believe that. There's always relationships and that ability. But do your kids want to go there? They're not asking. And so this tension between high school and clubs has been accelerating, and these kids hold the answer in their own, their own guts.
Well, let's be real. I mean, we've said it 1,000 times, and I've said that exact same thing because I've had people ask me, well, what club should my kid go into? And I said the same thing. You need to talk to your kid.
What do they want?
What do they want to do? And if they're 5 and they say they want to go pro, then you put them in a club that will help them get there. And they might not make that, but at least you're giving them that opportunity. Now, that being said, most of the high school kids that choose to go play for their high school are probably not thinking about playing in college.
Correct.
Because they know the path to college is the kids that are going through the academies.
I agree. And that's where I would like to see the high school camp in particular step off of that argument a little bit. If you're going to lean into experience, if you're going to lean into opportunity and loyalty and all these things as it applies to playing for your school, make it about that.
Yeah, because
don't make it a competition anymore.
I agree, and it doesn't mean that you can play for your high school and not play for college. It doesn't mean that. It just means the majority of the kids that are going to play in college realize the best path for that is through the academy system today.
Now, on the flip side of that, I started off with the
boys.
The other part of my pinnacle point of the day was talking about the kids going through the process. I think college coaches, and we'll try. We should try more moving forward. College coaches, I think, should spell out clear kind of what they're looking for, a little bit of the process. And I'm not putting it on them, but
it really depends on the college that you're talking about.
I totally agree, but I think that we're still talking about teenagers that are immature and that are stressed out. And I'm just being empathetic towards the players as well, because they're getting the pressure from club/high school as to where they should be. And if they do want to go and play at the next level, they have the pressure and the stress of wondering, well, who wants me? What do I need to do? So it's just this chaotic world right now.
It is, and there's a lot of resources out there.
And in summary, my pinnacle point of the day is talk more. Ask more questions, of your players, of your kids. players,
Check
ask
in.
more questions of your coaches, and and how to do it. Because actually, you can just go on Google and suggested tips for college recruiting.
Another thing
You know?
that's kind of a byproduct of the point that I've said multiple times about your point is that in our little area here in St. Louis, in our bubble, we have such a unique high school versus club that isn't often in other places. If you're looking at it half full, we have high school coaches, we have club coaches, we have so many people, which is what you're saying, that have played the game in college, have played professionally. That like if you're playing this game in some other unnamed metropolitan area, there might not be very many people ears that you can bend that you could be like, what should I do, boy or girl?
Yeah.
In our area, high school clubs, the 4, 5, 8 clubs that we have, we are littered with people.
Yep.
And coincidentally, our guest today, oh boy, is he one of them.
Yeah.
Well, so here's my closing comment in regards to that point. I'm going to put the pressure on the parents. Talk to your kid. Ask them
Check
the
in.
questions.
Yep.
Check in with them because they are going through a shit ton of stress across all these planes. And when it comes to the game, it should be fun. And if they want to challenge themselves, ask them, how far do you want to challenge yourself?
And I
Figure
think
that out
the
first.
more you check in-
and then go from there.
And the more you check in, the better, because you don't want to find out their senior year that they never wanted to play college, but you've been paying
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of dollars per year.
Yeah, don't find out in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get some refills. We're going to roll out with a little bit more of Sir Elton. And when we come back, we're going to talk a ton of old school soccer, stories, and more. So thanks for listening. Give us a follow, give us a share, and we'll catch you on the other side.
That's the name, and he sends him to the finest school in town.
Zach here. I love my kids, really. And when my kids have a knock, a sprain, a tweak, I like to get them back to 100% as soon as possible. I also hate deductibles. I get it. But now, in Missouri, I don't have to waste any unnecessary copay after my child rolls their ankle, because now I can go straight to a PT. No more pediatric visits in a germ-infested lobby waiting for permission to go to a physical therapist. Axes Physical Therapy has 19 locations from Glen Carbon to Winsville and specializes in rehab, especially soccer rehab. So instead of burning a couple of needless hours and cash going to get a referral, take that bump or bruise straight to Axes. Go to axespt.com for more info, and feel free to Venmo me your half the savings.
Hey everyone, buying a home, it's kind of a big deal. Never has there been more competition to buy, so few homes to choose from, all made worse by an uncertain interest rate landscape. Now that you're short a bedroom for the third kid, you're in the wrong school district, and a walkable corner pub isn't nearly close enough, it's time to reach out to the Pinnacle Loan Team for help. They work with a network of agents that have their feet on the ground across the whole region and have a number of loan products that are cost-effective with a process that is simple. Basically, they've got you covered from start to finish. So when it's time to buy, visit thepinnacleloans.com. That's thepinnacleloans.com. Simply the best in home loans.
You might have got blue tongue from that deer. You might have chronic wasting disease right now.
I didn't touch it barehanded.
What, were you wearing a hazmat suit?
No.
What do you mean you didn't touch it? How did you remove a deer from your fucking fence and you didn't touch it?
I had gloves on.
Oh, God.
Did you use
I'm sorry.
like bathroom cleaning?
Paul Bunyan
nylon?
over here. I forgot he's had so much experience removing dead animals from his domicile.
Domicile.
Good God. Hey, by the way, this weekend's coming up. The three of us are going to be spending an inordinate amount of time together over the next 3 days.
I didn't choose that.
We got a golf tournament tomorrow that we're playing in on Friday, and then we're driving 11 hours round trip to Indianapolis.
No,
No, 8.
like max 8.
Yeah.
Okay, still, it's a lot of time.
Yeah. Maybe 9.
What, are you calculating the Eastern time zone jump?
Yes.
Well, it won't be that bad.
Why do you have to bring all the negatives out and everything?
I didn't say anything negative.
You could have had back straps and beers with seasoned in Dales.
Yeah, why are you not bringing us like deer brats?
I want a
tomorrow
snack
to the golf
stick
outing?
with
I think I've been
jalapeno.
very clear about why we don't have backstraps or anything related to the deer meat.
Okay. Rolling us in with a little bit of Kiss Detroit Rock City in honor of the beloved Masked Marauders themselves. They played here last night. They were down at Enterprise.
Last time?
Kiss.
Last time ever, it sounds like.
Oh, is it one of the
Farewell.
first of their 7 farewell tours?
Maybe.
Nice. I think we were talking about it walking over there. You went to Kiss way back in the day. Kiss and Aerosmith.
Aerosmith and Kiss. in
Name
2004. Can't. Don't do it.
three Kiss songs.
I can't. I
That's
told
okay.
you
The vast majority of Kiss fans can't name 3 Kiss songs, so you're fine.
there's only the one that you played a couple episodes ago. I was like, oh, that's the one I know. And then I got nothing else after
Lick It Up. You know that one?
No.
Here,
That's not
here,
the one I
real
know.
quick. We're gonna bring our guest on in a second. This will be a little.
By the
fun.
way,
Here,
we're
how
down
about
here at
this one?
Soccer Park, and it's glorious.
How about this
We've
one?
got the window out to Field 1, and apparently there's a costume contest going on tonight. And there are some badass costumes that I've seen walk by. I saw 2 girls walk by as Gatorade bottles.
Kids today have the advantage of Instagram.
Yeah, oh my God.
What about this one, Jared? You like this one? Look it up.
I do like this one.
right.
I saw Patrick Longo walk by, and then 3 more Patrick Longos walk by.
How about this one?
This is the one I know.
What's it called?
School of Rock?
No.
All right.
Once bitten, twice shy? No.
No, that's Great
Kiss.
White.
Okay, that's it. Kiss music trivia.
No,
Done.
I got nothing.
It's time. It's time for our guest today. We're just gonna get right into it. We've got NASL, MISL, U.S. national team, coach du jour, South City native / North County JUCO standout, Denny Vaninger. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, thanks.
Appreciate you joining us. Are you just super looking forward to this conversation after the last 20, 25 minutes?
I've enjoyed the last 20, 25 minutes.
That's what they all say, unless they're just patronizing us.
I think there's a fair amount of patronization that's going on.
I'm stoked about Denny because of a variety of reasons. One, some of the most respected guests we've ever had on the show have told us multiple times, you got to get Denny on.
Have you had him yet? How many times
haven't
have
had
we
Denny
heard?
on yet?
Yeah.
Constantly. So that's one reason I was really excited to have you. The other is my son plays for a club that's not Gallagher, and I'm going to show you his kit because I think it's really cool because it looks very familiar.
Oh, yeah, St. Louis Stars.
Yep, the St. Louis Stars, and they adopted the NASL kit colors and design and everything, and it's a cool throwback.
Right.
And we haven't had him on, but Gary
Drawing blank here.
Gary
Rensing
Yeah.
also played for the Stars, and his grandson plays with our boys
Right.
at City.
Right.
And my younger son was wearing his kit. And
Oh, yeah.
He's wow, that he was really excited to see
Right.
those colors again and in that logo. And so, 2 reasons why, Denny, I'm excited to hear, and so I'm really thankful you came in.
I'm glad to be here. You guys are very interesting and knowledgeable on the sport.
So let's get into interesting. Well, I tell you what. Here's what I would like to do. Excuse me. It's fall. It's that time of year. I always like to help the listener get an idea because of where you're from, where you grew up. Because everybody that, excuse me, the majority of the guests we have such incredible stories. But I love tying in the roots, the neighborhood, where it all started. So give us a little bit of kind of, the neighborhood, where you grew up and intro to the game. Let's get some of those X's and O's out of the way. And then we're going to move into some fun soccer chatter.
Great. I grew up in South St. Louis, went to St. Mary and Joe's down by Crownlet Park till 3rd grade. Then I went to St. Anthony's grade school Merrimack and Grand, down by the old Ted Drew's, again, in the city, South City. And my passion was, I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and all I did was play soccer. That's all I wanted to do was play, and read about Pele, read about soccer, watch soccer. It was only on Sunday mornings. Toby Charles soccer, made in Germany, I think, was on.
Yep.
We
PBS.
watched that, and I was kind of a weird kid because everybody else played. I played baseball, and everything else was St. Anthony's, but my joy was soccer, and I thought I was pretty good until I played for Spanish Society. Spanish club, obviously. I used to take the bus to practice with my shin guards and shoes and a little brown bag. And I never really got to play. I was a midfielder, and I never got to play unless we were winning like 3 or 4 to nothing. And I thought I was a lot better than that, to be honest with you. Then I get to high school, and I tried out for the football team, and I was very small. I went to St. Mary's. And I tried out for the football team, and the first day the coach came over, and he looked at me, and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Well, I'm playing football, I'll go long, throw it to me, give me a quarter. What do you need? I'm here." And he gave me a pad to hold and had a senior come over and hit me, and I rolled like 5 times, and then I quit. I didn't play football. So at St. Mary's, I tried out for football and baseball 3 years, and I got cut all 3 years. And my junior year, I got cut from the soccer team, and I was pretty upset because I didn't think I was really good. I just thought I could make the freaking soccer team as a junior. And the teacher had me for typing, and I'm sitting there, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, some of these guys said you're pretty good, so you can be on the team. The only problem is we don't have any jerseys, so you need to get your own jersey." And I was like, "What color? I'll get it." So I went home. My dad goes out, and I bought 2 jerseys, number 22, and they were freaking football jerseys. Everybody else had jerseys with the strings on them and all that, and I had a freaking football jersey.
That's awesome.
So I didn't play that much junior year. And then senior year, we didn't lose a game. We were like 28-0-1 and won the state championship. That was kind of cool. And I wasn't really going to go to school. I thought I was going to be a carpenter, and I went to Florissant Valley, Flo Valley, and played there for 2 years.
For Pete?
For Pete Sorber.
Yep.
Nicest guy, nicest coach, great guy, great team. After that, I was going to go to Harris Teachers College, and I started going to school.
Whoa. We cannot let you off the hook. Pete Sorber, nice guy. You guys won back-to-back national champions that year. Those years you were at Flo Valley.
Right.
So, that's no small feat.
Yeah.
You guys.
And how many losses?
Yeah. Your career at Flo Valley, let's call it JUCO. It was a different time. Whatever the hell we're going to call it. Back-to-back national championships. I don't care what you're doing. You guys were fucking good. So don't just skate past that. Let's talk about those years a little bit, because here's another thing. In our game, and we'll get down the road here, Pete Sorber, who is a out-of-this-world leader in our game, who has a son that's an out-of-this-world leader in our game, has had some very good things to say about you. When you were leaving Flo Valley, he said that you were probably the most athletic, best player that he's ever seen in the air. I mean, so let's not skate past those years, Mr. Vaninger. I mean, those are phenomenal years for you, for our city, and for what took place in that era. So can you talk about those years at Flo Valley a little bit?
Sure. We had a good team. We had a lot of good players, and at the time we didn't know that we were that good. I mean, we're 18, 19 years old. You just go to practice, you show up for the games on Saturday, and then you have a party Saturday night, and you start over on Monday. Yes. We didn't really pay attention, although we were very serious about training and everything. And Pete was one of the best coaches I've ever played for, because Pete was the type of guy that would pick the team and then tell every one of the kids as you go out there, hey, just do what you do. It wasn't like he was dictating like a little hockey machine where you use the handles and tell the players how to run them.
Joysticking,
exactly right. No, Pete was incredible. The team was incredible. We had 2 years. We never lost a game. Won a national championship 2 years in a row, and it was kind of the highlight of my life. Obviously, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. After that, like I said, I was going to go to Harris Teachers College, and I went for a semester because the only reason I went because my girlfriend, Karen, who is my wife now of 47 years, was going to Harris. So I was following her and her friends, and it always helped to have those girls around because they always had jobs in different offices, and they always had access to the exams before anybody else. So I did pretty well at Harris that semester.
Full fridges,
Right,
all
right.
those fringe benefits.
Right. And then Don Popovic, who was a very nice guy at the time, came up, talked to my parents 3 or 4 times, and had asked them if I'd be interested in going to Canada and playing professional soccer. So he came up to me and asked me and gave me an offer and said, here's how it works. And I said, well, I need to talk to my parents. And he said, yeah, you need to do that. So I went home, talked to my parents. Little did I know till a couple years later that he had already worked out the whole deal with them. It was my dad had my bag packed, I think, because it was.
What did your dad do?
My dad was a father of 7 kids, and he drove a Dr. Pepper truck.
Really?
Okay.
And my mom didn't work. She just ironed clothes and cooked dinner. And
So 7 kids. You're the oldest. Was soccer in your dad's blood at all, or were you the one? Were you first?
Soccer was not in anybody's blood in my family. My dad and mom were good athletes. My mom was very fast, track runner type thing. My dad played softball, baseball, everything. This is I was born in 1952, so it was a different world back then. And
So my question then is because I always love this aspect of these stories. You are exiting St. Mary's. You guys just won state championship. Flo Valley, Pete and crew is interested. I'm assuming scholarship. Did you get a scholarship to go play?
I had a lot of offers to go to a lot of different schools, but like I said, I thought I was going to be a carpenter. My uncle was a carpenter, and I thought, well, I'm going to be a carpenter because they apparently have a lot of fun. They work, drink a lot of beer, do a lot of fishing and hunting. I mean, I was up for that. And so I went up to Canada and played, and before
Was that the Serbian team in Canada?
Serbian White Eagles.
Okay.
Canadian Soccer League. And
okay.
Before that, I played with Kudus, we were the national champions of the Amateur Cup.
I love how you're
year.
casually skipping over. Yeah. Oh, we won a national championship with Kudus.
So let me ask a very serious question. From St. Mary's to post Flo Valley, in your amateur career, how many losses did you have?
Well, it's funny. We get together once in a while, a couple guys, Madison and Boker, and Denny, one and myself. And at St. Mary's, Kudus, and Flo Valley, too, in 4 years, we never lost a game in any of those teams.
Holy shit.
And we won three national championships, which is kind of, again,
amazing.
We didn't realize it. We were going through the motions. And the biggest thing for us was, obviously, the games on Saturday, but the parties after the game.
Yeah, you guys were just beating the brakes off people and then parting harder than them. I mean,
we were good
rules.
at both. Yeah, we were pretty good at both.
You were earning your parties. That's what you guys were doing.
Exactly. Yeah, we earned them.
Well, did you understand at the time, because you seemed so nonchalant, to a degree, almost flip about those years in this weird way? Were you cognizant of all the other soccer, the pedigree, the successes that were occurring at SLU, and at every block, at every institution in our town during that generation, everyone was winning at the highest level. Were you cognizant of the fact that you were a major part of that story, of that generation?
I don't know if we were cognizant of that. We knew UMSL and St. Louis U, SIU. Rockhurst had a lot of St. Louis players. Quincy had a lot of St. Louis players. We were friends. All of us that played and won all those things were all friends and hung out and played for a club team. There was 4 or 5 clubs, and we all played for the club team. And everybody, we used to go after a Flo Valley game. We would go watch St. Louis play, and they would watch us play, and we would scrimmage against Flo Valley. It's kind of weird, not Flo Valley. When I was playing at Flo, we would scrimmage against SLU and SIU, and we would beat them, and they wouldn't play us the second year.
Yeah.
Because we would beat them. Not saying that we were better than them, but we were a lot more excited about playing them, I'm sure, than they were excited about playing us.
Yeah, we get that. Yeah.
And we had the best field in the Midwest. Pete Sorber had the best field in the Midwest at Flo Valley.
I didn't realize that.
The top field around track around it was everybody wanted to play there.
Everybody else was playing SLU, and then including they were playing at Francis Park, which was a dog track.
Exactly.
Okay.
So everybody wanted to play at Flo. In fact, Pete wouldn't even let us go up there even look at the field. He was, I'd sneak up there to play on it. He'd run up and kick us off. So,
All right.
So let's talk a little bit about that transition getting into the Canadian years. You know, because that's not a minor jump. I mean, you're going from JUCO to pro. You're now getting paid to play. You know, you just kind of joking about, you know, thought you were going to be a carpenter. You're looking for that simplistic path, but now you're playing a game that you love and that you're obviously pretty good at, and they're paying you for it. What was that like in transitioning and kind of like accepting and leaning into being a pro versus walking away from what you thought was going to be your path?
right, it was totally different. When I got to Canada, we'd go to practice. We would practice like from 9 to 11 and 2 to 4. And nobody on the team spoke English. They were all Serbians, Yugoslavians, and I was the only player that spoke English. Popovic did. First game we played, there was about 6,000 people there, and we're playing, and our team was incredibly good. They were in second place, and somebody crossed the ball, and I headed it in about 10 minutes. And as we're running back to the center half, everybody's running up, kissing me on both cheeks. And our players, our players. Yeah, I was a pretty big guy compared to most soccer players back then.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing them off and getting a little pissed because I didn't need anybody kissing me after you score a goal. That's not why I scored.
That's what we do at the bar afterwards.
Yeah, right. And then Popovic had to say, he goes, "Hey, quit pushing those guys away. That's what we do." I said, "Well, you can do what you want to do, but not to me."
You're like, I'm from the State Streets, man. Stay
I'm
away.
from South St. Louis, man. Don't be kissing me.
Well, and not to fast forward this because I want to get to it because it's just so freaking important for me, and I think our listeners will really enjoy it. So after the Canadian years, you play for the Stars. I want to jump ahead. JB may bring us back a little bit to those Fort Lauderdale years. We've had a lot of peers of yours on the show. Some of them have played for the Cosmos. Some of them played in the NASL. All different eras. That Fort Lauderdale team. I think the main year you guys actually win the division over the Cosmos. We know the stars that were on the Cosmos. And all these guests have talked about him. George Best. You played with George Best. I mean, that dude probably bought you lunch. I mean, talk about George Best a little bit.
You must know the story because
no, I just know that George Best was arguably, in some people's mind, maybe one of the best soccer players ever. And we have a gentleman on our show that played on the same field with him, trained 2 times a day with him. And I think our listeners will really appreciate the history. George Best, go.
George Best was obviously one of the best players in the world. He came to Fort Lauderdale, and everybody's kind of in shock. And when he got there, everybody was kind of, taking pictures and doing stuff. And especially the English and Irish and Scottish players were beside themselves. And me and Tony Whelan, who's English, who became one of my good friends, who currently is with Manchester United as we speak, and has been there for 25 years. Well, George, we would practice in the morning, 9 to 11, and then 1 to 3, and we'd go to lunch. George Best, myself, George Nansoff, Tony Whelan, and Ray Hudson, who's an announcer somewhere in the United States. I don't know where, but we would go to lunch, and we went to Denny's every day, and we'd go in. And the first day we go in, we're sitting there, and Tony goes, I got it. And the guy comes over, he goes, no, it's all taken care of. So we're in there for 2.5 weeks preseason, and every day we eat lunch, and it's free. And we're thinking, wow, this guy, I wonder what he wants. He needs some balls or shirts or what's he looking for? To find out George Best had told him at the beginning, before we ever went in there, that don't ever charge any of us anything for anything.
JB often asks, and we'll go through your whole timeline of your career, and not to jump ahead, but the best player, who is George Best the best player you ever seen? Definitely.
He had everything, and the guy is only, I think, 5'6" or something. He was incredible and super nice guy. He was unbelievable nice guy. We used to play racquetball all the time, and the same thing at the racquetball club. After practice, we would go there and order whatever you want, and everybody's thinking they're going to pay for it, and we never had to pay for anything because the guy was he was incredible.
Sounds like nobody I know.
No, it's nobody I know either.
Fuck you.
It's nobody. For a guy like that, he, on that team was Gordon Banks, who's the goalkeeper.
Yep.
Played in the 1966 World Cup for England when they won with Bobby Charlton, who just passed away a couple days ago. In fact, I got a picture of Gordon Banks and Bobby Charlton. I'm standing in the middle of them. We went to England twice with Fort Lauderdale. And I'm standing in the middle of them, and I got a picture of them. I just sent it to Tony Wheeler of Man U on Sunday when we found out.
Well,
Wow.
okay, so I've got to ask, excuse me, just kind of a reflective frame of reference question for you then. And we'll go back. But you're talking about eating lunches with George Best in a Denny's.
He had the American Slam with George Best.
yeah, American Slam. You're going to England with the team, and you're taking pictures with Bobby Charlton. Has it set in? Like, at what point has it set in, or
It set in last Sunday more than any time because I looked up some old pictures and I started looking at them. And when I was doing it, when you're going through the motions and playing, and you train in the morning, you train in the afternoon, you play on Saturdays, you do a lot of traveling. The country's big and you travel back and forth. And I had just got married when I went to Fort Lauderdale. I've been married 3 months, and then I got traded to Fort Lauderdale. It was like, I couldn't think of another place. I would have got traded for. I would have went there and not played, but it was pretty good. It turned out. So at the time, it's like all the games and all the teams I played for. You don't realize what you're doing when you're doing it. You're just doing it. Now I appreciate, especially at my age now. I mean, we're talking 40, 50 years ago. I really appreciate it. And now my grandkids kind of see some old scrapbooks, and my wife tells them stuff, and they appreciate it. In fact, 2 weeks ago, my wife had talked to Tony Whelan and got, I can't think of his name. The best player on Man United, the little winger, number 10.
Rooney?
Giggs?
No, the new
Current?
guy.
The new guy?
Right now. I cannot think of his name.
10.
Rashford?
Rashford. Yeah. Rashford.
Yeah.
See, I'm a Chelsea fan, so I purposely
She
have no
got
idea what you're talking
autographed
about.
pictures of Rashford for my 2 grandkids.
Wow, that's
and
cool.
they about peed in their pants. They already got them framed into their bedroom. So I think about the stuff I did now more than I ever did because I have grandkids that kind of, my kids, when they grew up, we never even talked about it. They didn't know. I was just their dad.
It's
They
funny,
like the 82 Cardinals.
Well, it's funny that you put it that way because a while back, months ago, Max, my youngest, we were talking, and we were actually talking about this show, and there were a couple guests on. I think it was Dan Drogi.
Don Draghi.
Great. Thank you. And was talking his business card and different things where showing the players and the list of people that he played against. And Max was like, not super, he wasn't connecting that he lives here and he kind of, quote, walks among us. It's that he knew all the players because FIFA has the legacy players.
Yeah, right.
So, like, for you guys are part of this generation that played with these, that freaking had lunch with George Best often. And 2-3 generations later, these kids are like, yeah, I've got him on my team on FIFA.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and the popularity of the game has exploded, and there's a historical component to it that you're part of. That's pretty amazing.
There's a story that I've heard. It revolves around George Best, but I don't want to talk about it yet. I want to say that for a later segment. But what JB's talking about is something that gets me every single time, is that we had so many folks, not just from St. Louis, but across the country, that were involved in that NASL league with some amazing Beckenbauer, Pele, Best. Why do you think, Denny, it didn't take off? Why didn't it stick here?
It was a foreign sport to everybody back then. I mean, it was very unusual for Americans to be playing professional soccer. And then they made the rule where you only had to have 3 which was not a real rule. That only turned it into the coach would look in the locker room and say, "Okay, I got 2 Americans starting. I need 1 more." They would never. Nobody would.
And the irony at that time, in the time that he's talking about, in the English Premier League, which is the best league in the world, they have a rule where you can only have 2 non-Englishmen on the field.
Correct.
So, baffling to me. I mean,
Baffling,
that's just. And we'll get into more of what that meant for you and the stand with your fellow players that you took. I mean, like you played with the Mickey Mantles and the Babe Ruths and the Joe Montanas and the Joe. Like that's what that people don't really realize. Right. George Best. Like there could be a soccer show of the real people that really know about soccer.
Oh yeah,
and they'll take their Mount Rushmore. You can ask all the people that really played the game. George Best is on their Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this then: with playing with him, as you guys are making your rounds around the league, let's go on the flip side. Was there a player or an opponent, right, that even though you were kind of conditioned by being with George as a teammate, was there somebody that just kind of, holy shit, that is X?
Well, obviously Pele and Johan Cruyff were. In fact, I got a picture at the stadium, Busch Stadium, the old Busch Stadium, running next to Pele that somebody had sent me. It's like 8.5 by 11 framed, and my grandson, who's a freshman at Afton, about a month ago said, "Hey, can you send me that picture? Because I'm telling kids that my grandpa played with Pele," and they're like, "You know what? You're full of crap."
He should bet him. Oh, no. Bring your 20s.
There ain't no.
And if you guys don't believe me, 20 spots. Who wants to see it?
But like somebody like that, and another player that came over, played with Detroit, Trevor Francis, was probably one of the best players that played because he had just left England, and he was only 28 years old. Most of the time, the guys that came over were older and didn't play over there anymore, so they came over here. So,
we're going to go on a quick break, but I just find it incredibly amazing how nonchalant you are about this. Like it's impressive, like because you have lived experiences that aren't normal. Like, and I think you're kind of talking about how the other day on Sunday you were going through photos and it's starting to kick in. I think it's amazing.
Oh,
yeah, it is. But so, I want to get to in the second half what those last 40 years have done for the game. And how you can now start to realize your impact and how that's going. Because I want to get into that as well.
Yeah, I want to take a break, and on the break, we're gonna open up our calendars and pick a date to go to Denny's, and I'm buying. We'll be right back after the break. We gotta get some refills here at Soccer Park. See you, people.
I'm Max, and I'm 9 years old. When I'm not playing soccer, jumping on a trampoline, or playing Xbox, with permission of course, I listen to the Baked In podcast with Josh Allen. Josh talks to some of the most incredible business leaders in St. Louis. From Maxine Clark of Build-A-Bear to Gerard Kraft, the chief flavor officer for my favorite team, St. Louis City SC. There's something for everyone. If you are interested in the secret sauce of success, check out the Baked In podcast. Now, back to those old guys.
We're back.
I can do this. This is a good one.
You down with this one? Gotta ask, who knows it? Anybody? That's the song. Derek and the Dominoes, a.k.a. one of Eric Clapton's other bands.
Yeah, Eric Clapton. I knew it was his voice, but I wasn't sure if it was Cream or Eric and the Dominoes.
He was all over. He was actually a journeyman in spite of his prowess solo. Love it. It's a great song. This is a road trip song. Playing this in honor of our imminent road trip.
Oh, yeah.
Can Zach hear it from the trunk?
I don't know. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll open up this ski rack hole.
I might be in the truck.
I just can't wait to talk with you about politics for 4 hours straight.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Holy shit, you're going to feel dumb.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be driving by myself. We're back.
I want to ask Denny something that I think. So you play with George, you play against Pele, Cruyff, Beckenbauer, all these guys, and then the NASL kind of starts to fade away, and you end up back in St. Louis with the Steamers. What's the contrast like of playing in Fort Lauderdale with those guys compared to coming back here and playing with the guys with the Steamers?
The contract money-wise, you mean?
Contrast.
Contrast?
Yeah.
It was a different game, but it was totally different skill level, I would think, because indoor compared to outdoor at that time was totally different. I mean, the Steamers and the Arrows were the best two teams in the whole league. Mm-hmm. So that was good, the skillful players. But the best thing about coming back playing for St. Louis, obviously coming to St. Louis, coming back home to play, but they were all St. Louis players. There was maybe one or two, maybe four guys of the 20 players that weren't from St. Louis. It was, and the coaches.
Yeah.
In fact, Pete Sorber helped. Flo Valley coach Tim Rooney, who played at Flo Valley, coach. I mean, Pat McBride was.
Did you circle back with Popovich at that time?
Popovich was with the Arrows. I didn't get back with him until the Storm in like 1985.
Okay.
I helped him
Well,
there.
let me a sidecar question. Real quickly, let's go to your St. Louis Stars years. Excuse me. Talking about playing with St. Louis players, we completely neglected to mention and ask you about Al Trost. Playing with Al during your time at the Stars. What was that like? Because Al is he's just
an incredible player. He's just fantastic player, dribbler of the ball. He had speed. He had foresight. He scored goals. He was just a quiet, calm, passive guy, but incredible, hard.
All in all, a fantastic human.
Exactly. You don't get nicer than Al.
Yeah, I think the thing with Al, and again, this is just kind of like Al and yourself and so many others that we've spoke to. You guys are awfully just so chill about your experience. And it really enamors me. Let's get back to the indoor years, because there was that transition where the NASL is clearly on the outs to the point it's out. There's no other professional league here domestically. Indoor is the option. Steamers in those first few years, that was special. The barn, the sellouts, the team, the successes. Did you feel like you were going from, in the NASL, playing with George Bass, playing against Pele, et cetera, you're doing the stadium tour. Let's use a rock and roll analogy. You're doing a stadium tour in the NASL. Now, all of a sudden, you're at the Steamers. Is it more like you're at CBGB's, just punk rock, tighter, smaller?
It was like a concert more than, especially at the arena. The game would start at 8, but really didn't start to 8:35 because it would be 4,000 people would walk in.
Yeah.
And it was like 18,000 people, and the building shook. And they did the introductions with the steam and everything. It was just a show. And on top of it, we scored 8 or 10 goals a game, almost every game. It was just crazy. It was nonstop action. It was just kind of a new sport. It was. We played a game with the Stars in 1974, I think. Played against the Russian Red Army team, and we had 11,000 people, and that was crazy because we had played with the Stars. I think we averaged 6,500 for 10 years or something. But we played there, and it was just it's a total different atmosphere because at Fort Lauderdale we had 16,000 people every game we played. Wherever you played against Pele, the place sold out, 30,000.
Yeah.
Totally different than indoor at the arena. The arena was. It was like a rock concert. It was crazy.
And a little cart before the horse here for me, but like what we need to talk about, because I think you will just be hilarious about the story, is in them Fort Lauderdale days when 3 Americans could play on the field, or the rule was 3 Americans. Can we talk a little bit about your role in specifically that team and potentially the quote unquote strike that took place and the days leading to that and kind of how that took place? Because, you know, I've never heard it from the horse's mouth, but I have heard multiple stories from a lot of your peers, and, you know, I guarantee you that our listeners will just really enjoy this. So if you could set the table, like, or JB, you set the table. This is a really good story for.
Well, no, I mean, let's just get right into it. There was a pseudo strike to be, and you guys weren't going to let it happen. So give us a little bit of background leading up to the strife, and what did you do to solve the problem?
Well, we had talked about every team had a player rep, so I was the player rep in Fort Lauderdale, mainly because I was one of the few Americans that played all the time, and I was the biggest guy on the team. So I'm the player rep, and Ed Garvey, who was with the NFLPA back then.
Because these guys were all NFL owners, right?
Right. They're all. Joe Robbie owned the Strikers, and he owned Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about not striking. We just went to the coach and said, hey, we need the owner to recognize the union. And Ron Newman said, well, he's not going to recognize him. We're not going to even talk to him. So we had meetings with the player refs of all the teams in the league. And I was friends with Bobby Smith, playing with the national team with him, who was with the Cosmos. So we decided, well, this date, such and such date, we're not going to play. Have your teams not play. And all the American player reps said, sure. And they go, what about Fort Lauderdale with George Best, Gordon Banks, and Andy Cabillas? What about all these guys? I said, well, I don't know about them, but I'll make sure nobody else plays. And they said, how are you going to do that? I said, yeah, we'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. So we have a call, and we get ready to strike. And everybody knew there was going to be a strike, so the game's 8 o'clock that night against Washington. So I called a meeting at noon after practice, the pregame practice. We met at noon, and I rented a hotel room. And we had the whole team in there, and they all came in, and they said, well, what's the meeting about? I said, well, it's a player rep meeting. And I gave them all stickers in NASL, PA. And about 1 o'clock, we got done eating lunch and everything. I said, well, we got to go, take a nap, got a game. And I said, well, nobody can leave. And they kind of looked at me like, well, I said, we're officially on strike. We're not going to play. And I think a couple of English players probably did wet their pants because they were scared to death that if they didn't play, they might get sent back, which is freaking great for me. Send them back. They don't. We're on strike because of the 3 American players, and then they counted green cards as an American. So we had 2 guys and me that played as Americans on the Strikers, and the other 2 guys didn't speak English. So I don't think that's really an American. Back then it wasn't anyway. I don't know.
Absolutely not. They didn't play college. Their goal wasn't to play professional soccer like your guys' goal. These guys were basically rejects from Europe. Right.
And my consensus the whole time was the league's not doing that well because every year you change 9 or 10 of the players. If we started a pickleball league now and picked the worst athletes in the country to be on our team, we'd still have a leading scorer, the best server, the best killer of the ball, the best dress. So back then, Americans apparently didn't know anything about soccer, according to everybody. So why not just have all Americans? So we're on strike, and a couple of players said, we're going to leave. I don't know what you're going to do. And I stood at the door and had a few choice words that if you try to leave, and they kind of looked at him like, well, we really don't want to go again. They called me Big Denny because I was big. And then Tony Whelan, who's 6'1", black guy from Man United, one of my best friends, stood at the door and said, you got to go through me and Big Denny if you want to leave. So that scared him. And then the other black guy on the team, who's my roommate, Colin Fowles from Jamaica, stood up and said, here's the deal. You got to go through us 2 black guys and Big Denny. Who's leaving? And the English guys almost started crying. They were so upset. So we listened to the game, and Ron Newman's playing, his son's playing, the popcorn guy's playing, the security guard's playing. Everybody's got a uniform because the league wanted to keep the schedule and play the game. So at halftime, I said, hey, anybody wants to leave, you can leave. And they almost busted down the door trying to leave, and we're sitting there listening to the game, the American guys. and Tony and Colin, who put their livelihood on the line. You got to give them credit for that. We heard, and here comes David Irving, and here comes Mars. We're like, what the fuck? Well, how did they get there so fast? They got to the game, put their uniforms on, and played the second half last 20
They were driving Fiats. They
So the next day, Ron Newman, or not the next day, 2 days later, Ron Newman comes to practice. This is the best. And he goes, okay, here's the deal. We're going to scrimmage. Denny, get all the guys that went on strike and put on a green bib. You guys go over there to den strike, and we're going to scrimmage for an hour. Yeah.
Oh.
And I think I dribbled past everybody 20 times because
Beat
everybody was so scared to death. We beat them like 15-0.
love that story. I just absolutely love that story.
So let's take a little jump in time then, because the kind of the second part of your soccer career, you shifted it. Instead of wearing the kit and threatening teammates, you grabbed the clipboard and grabbed a whistle, and you moved into coaching. Was it natural progression for you? Is it something that you wanted to do when you knew you were kind of at that point, or what was the introduction to coaching?
When I was playing, I always did school visits, and I always. When first year I played with the Stars, they had a 6-month contract, and I told them, I said, I don't want a 6-month contract. I want to work all year. And the next 6 months, when I'm not training in the season, I'll go visit schools and do PR and do coaching stuff. And they're like, oh, well, we don't know about that. So they made a job up, director of player development. So I did that. I was fortunate. And then Pat McBride talked me into going to a national license course. So I took a B license, and I finally got my A. And while I was playing, I went to Fort Lauderdale, and Tony Wheel, and I talked him into taking these classes. And him and I visited schools, hospitals, did stuff, and we taught license courses. So I came back to St. Louis with the Steamers, and then I ended up hooking up with Bush Soccer Club as director of coaching. I never really coached teams per se. I've always been involved in coaching education.
Directing.
So I did that for 18 years here where we're sitting, Bush Soccer Club. And then 18 years after that, I was the director of coaching for Missouri Youth Soccer. I traveled around the state and taught license courses and camps and clinics.
I think I went to one of your courses, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well,
Probably an F license, 3 hour, yeah.
I need to talk about this, and this is selfish because I grew up in the Bush Soccer Club, and I played from 1985 to 2000. No, 1985 to 95. Let's call it. That was in the heart of the Bush Soccer Club camps for me that I attended, that you were involved in. You actually ran with David Bursick, an ex-guest, and Daryl Duran was there, and many other coaches that Mr. Boker and Jim Boker and all these St. Louis greats. For me, and this is what I'll finally remember, Mr. Vaninger, when I was going to those camps as a youth, I was immersed in playing for a very good club team at Bush, and it was very serious. It was very business-like, technical, a lot of fitness. I played for Tom Holmes. You know him great. He was a good friend of yours. You had a knack, and I don't know if this was your coaching style, but you made the camp. You made the activities, and it wasn't a like just a day camp. It was get better camp. It was a high level camp. At what point in your life, playing for all those teams and playing with those aces that we just outlined in the episode, why did you make it so fun? I mean, why was it so fucking fun?
It's the passion of coaching. It's the passion of playing. If you like to do something, the more you do it, the better you get. The better you get, obviously, the more you do it, and it's an evolving circle of playing, getting better, enjoying it, and just having the thrill of your life. There's nothing more fun than taking a group of 6, 8, 10, 12, 6, 15-year-olds and have them go absolutely crazy playing soccer, and when they leave, don't want to leave. They still want to stay. It's fun. It's got to be fun.
Can I ask you a theoretical question then? Because, sitting here now for a little over 45 minutes or so, talking to you and getting to know more about your own personal expectations, your background, siblings, your dad, Dr. Pepper trucks, and all this other stuff, it seems to me as if the sport came naturally to you, but you didn't have a North Star or a goal that growing up where you were like, I want to be a professional soccer player. And then whenever you became a competitive college player, it's almost as if you didn't think about it then either. All this stuff, you kept kind of competing and elevating to the level that warranted your skills, but you've kept a really kind of a cool, calm, collected, fun attitude about it. So when you look at coaching, I can see to the point what you were just talking about, Jared. Why wouldn't a kid want to play for you? Because it was never a job to you, even though it was your job.
Right.
Has soccer ever been a job for you in hindsight?
No. I still do 5 to 8 hours a week for Scott Gallagher, either a coaching class, coaching education for some of the schools that are members with us, and I still do other coaching stuff. But last night I was at Forsyth School. We had 55 preschool kids, 55 balls on a turf field, 4 coaches. But you play chase the rabbit without the ball and play tag. Everybody's it. No ball, add a ball, and then dribble. And the kids they don't really, you got to trick kids into playing the sport that you're coaching, having fun. If they're having fun, they'll give you 110%. If they're not having fun.
This is so refreshing.
Well, and I think the class I went to, it wasn't even an F license. I think it was just an overview course that you had given. And you had said, I've watched a lot of trainings and I see a lot of kids standing around. That's not coaching. Every kid needs to have a ball. Every kid should have, you rattle off a certain number of touches per session. Right. And I've never forgotten that.
Right.
And that was 10 plus years ago, one time. Right. And you constantly just beat it over and over. They have to have fun. Make it a game. Make it a competition. And our kids have come through the program here at Scott Gallagher. And I can tell you, Kenny Godat has picked that up.
Right. Kenny Godat
program. Every flipping game is a competition, and the rules are so dumb sometimes. Us parents watching it have no clue what's going on, but the kids know exactly what rule is and when it's been broken, and they make sure that they let everybody know about it. But I think that the point I'm getting from you, it's similar to Steve Ralston, because we asked him kind of a similar question. He did not start most of his high school career, was not kind of picked to go on and be great, and then he was one of the best MLS players we've ever had.
Top of the pile.
You guys have a similar answer. I just love the game.
Right.
I love playing, and you've infected so many people, including a very, very young Jared Bertrand.
Oh my gosh.
Who is still, 30 years later, 40 years later, talking about it. And that's such a testament. And we talk about the giants that walk among us, JB. We've said that 1,000 times, the Altros and folks like you, but I'm in awe.
Let me ask you this.
Real quick, going to that camp when it was 150 degrees in the summertime on a sheet of AstroTurf that was on concrete, and going with shoe good indoor shoes. And then before this grill was here, this was an open air aggregate patio that they would just serve us lunch on. Like, for 5 years that I went to that in my youth with my friends, it was the absolute best time of my life. Yeah. And he was running these camps, and I remember it vividly, and you just made it freaking fun for everybody.
Right. But let me ask you this. Let's fast forward to today. Because you're obviously out at the club often. You're here at the park with coaching, the classes, etc. Clearly you're looking over your shoulder often. You're watching, coaches like Tritt out there with the academy team, and Timmy Leonard going down the ladder. All these great coaches. When you look at the kids today, when you look at what they're doing, when you look at the structure, the format, the skill sets, the speed, the size, what's your take on today's kind of club environment compared to, when you started in the 80s and 90s, and, because Bush was a premier soccer club in the nation. Now you're looking at SLSG today, still a premier club. Clearly there's competition down the street with City and everything that's going on. Right. But when you look at the kids and the training and what they're doing, what's your 101 or your opinion of today's marketplace?
it's different. The kids are definitely better technically, much better, much quicker, much faster, a lot more. We never until I don't remember ever working on a dribbling move, a step over or a Cruyff, or if somebody tried to teach us that move, what we did, the coach would say, when you get the ball, if you're faster than the guy you're dribbling past, kick it past him and go. I mean, there was technical players,
Simplify
especially Al Trost, guys like that, Georgie Bascott, guys like that. But now it's and you mentioned Ken Godad, who's one of the best trainers in the Midwest, if not the country, because he makes it fun, and it's. You mentioned games, a good thing for practice for kids that have fun and train hard and do well is organized chaos. Coaches are too methodical. It seems that everybody, and I've always said this, that St. Louis has 100,000 soccer players, and we got 998,000 midfielders. Because everybody can dribble around everybody can do a move. But where's the defensive guy that's going to lay out their striker, and then when he gets up, look at him and say, what's your problem?
Yeah.
What's your problem? Or a striker that dribbles past 4 people and scores a goal. Now everybody kind of...
Well, let me extrapolate on that then. The whole concept of grit, of competition, of a little bit of piss and vinegar, because the quality of the players, you just admitted it, and we would all agree, the skill sets, the technical ability of kids today has never been higher.
Right.
But we've talked about it time and time and time again with guests and our own opinions, that competitive drive.
The fire and brimstone of
yes.
Hey, he just knocked down nothing. Their number 9 knocked down our number 7. It was a cheap shot. Well, back in the day, 5 or 6 guys would go up to number 9, or somebody would take care of number 9. Now, number 9 hits our number 7 and lays him out, and you're 12. It's like, wow, I'm not going near number 9.
There's 10 parents that are yelling, but kids that aren't doing
it. The dad
anything.
of number 9's going to go after him, not that. It's a different. The world's different. It's totally different. The way kids are brought up, the way they're taught at school, the education is different. The things you can do in school now that you couldn't do when we were young, I'm talking 30, 40 years ago. But it's the kids are better, and there's more of a light at the end of the tunnel now, because now kids, you ask, like you mentioned it before, you ask a 6th or 7th grader, what do you want to do? First day of school, everybody's got a chalkboard, January 1st or whatever, I want to be a school teacher. I want to be an artist. Well, they want to be a professional volleyball player or a professional basketball player or a professional soccer player, and that's what their goal is. And they almost train too much. They overtrain, and repetitive use is causes a lot of injuries, especially in girls. There's a problem with a lot of knee injuries because of same repetition. Instead of, when I was younger, went to a Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, there was 4 seasons, and you played every sport for your school. Now there's still 4 seasons, but most kids say, "Hey, what do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a volleyball player."
Well, let me ask you this: if we have 100% pie, what would be your guesstimate as to the balance of technical training to competing? Where would you like to see that fall?
Well, the game is the best teacher, so you got to never stop doing technique. You never need to stop doing technique, but then you got to add the game. And if you don't play the game, if you never scrim, if you ask any kid from ages 4, they don't even know what the word means. But from 4 to 25, we got an hour to practice. What do you want to do? 98% say let's scrimmage. Get the bibs out. Nobody says, hey, you got those cone things? Put those out. Let's do that. Jimmy threw up last week. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll and I don't know how close we're getting, but JB usually gets us down this road. Living in this city for 60 plus years, growing up, your resume, this team that we got, first year. Western Conference champs. Last night we see who we play as the number 1 seed in the new playoff format against the number 8 seed in a 3-game series. What are your thoughts about St. Louis City Soccer Club? I mean, because you are one of those people, we talk about it often on the show.
The foundation.
Well said. The reason this stadium, this team, are you, your peers, people before you, the Outros, other than the money and the ownership group that we can yada yada yada, what does it mean to you?
It means a lot, and it's so much fun. St. Louis City is the best thing that's ever happened to St. Louis soccer by far. I mean, the organization, you guys, kudos to you guys too for having, all three of you having sons on the team, which is the top team in within 500 miles of here. To have your sons play for them is an honor. But the city has taken over. The city soccer team has taken over the city, and it's not all crazy old soccer guys that go to the games. My son has 5 season tickets, and I go all the time, and they are first class. And the team is a working class team. When they press, they play like the old school guys play. That guy just kicked me. 3 guys are going after number 4 who just kicked one of our players.
I Nobody says Tim Parker.
Yeah,
in your story earlier.
Tim Parker's not shy. He's not the shyest guy in the league. In fact, he's the opposite of the whole league. But he's a great example. He don't take no prisoners. They looked at the league. They picked out the players, and no matter who's injured, who's not injured, they put it together, and they're so much fun to watch. But they do a lot in the community. They're the full package. They do everything. They got the academy teams. They got the facility is one of the best facilities in the entire world.
Oh, brother.
Anybody comes here from Real Madrid, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, if you count them as a team.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next time.
I'm clipping that one.
It's a number 1 facility.
Mr. Whelan, has he seen it?
Tony hasn't seen it. I'm trying to get him over here next year, but he hasn't seen it. He's been here 4 or 5 times. Tony's favorite thing about St. Louis is Ted Drews.
That makes sense. Yeah,
well, let me add a part B question to the whole city conversation in regards to the theoretical rival, the soccer capital, Kansas suburban team. How funny is it to you though? I mean, you're a St. Louis guy. You're a South City guy that grew up with Ted Drews in your blood. Right,
exactly.
and hops and barley wafting through your bathroom.
When you're of age, 18.
Well, I mean, you're what were you like?
George Best bought him lunch.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is like
times.
You grew up 6 blocks from the brewery. I mean, you're a St. Louis guy, and you rode the wave at this incredible time frame through the NASL years with these icons of the game, and now you coach Bush, and you're here. You love City. You just gave an incredible. Actually, you're the first person that said specifically it's the best thing that's happened to St. Louis soccer. Right?
That is true.
How funny is it to you when you hear the nuance and the debate and the nonsense from?
Well, it's what I tell my grandkids all the time. They'll say, "Man, that guy over there, why is he?" I said, "You got to realize 50% of the people you run into aren't normal people, so you just got to let it go." So when somebody says that it's a rivalry to Kansas City, I'm like, that they can say what they want, and Kansas City Chiefs are supposed to be our team now, but you can say what you want, but I don't see any rivalry for the city soccer team other than any team they play. Nobody wants to come here and play them, especially in the summer. Yeah. Nobody wants to come here, which is great. That's a great reputation. And they don't kick the crap out of people. They just run you to death.
So
time and time again, fat chicks and bad barbecue.
Before we move on too much, we messed up one other time, and we didn't talk about the national team stuff. You've got 3 caps and a goal.
Against Mexico.
Yeah. You got your number. Your number 311. 311. And that number is significant because it started at 1, and every player who's ever had a cap for the U.S. national team has a number.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that.
And there are 76 from St. Louis that have a number in the system right now. Can you walk us through what it was like to get that call to play for the U.S. national team, and what did that mean to you, and kind of how did you walk through that?
Yeah, it was, I guess I was in my 2nd year, and we had tryouts up in New York, and I was a striker, and they had like 4 forwards, 4 strikers up there. And one of them was Kyle Rowe Jr. back in the day, who was an incredible athlete, won all the superstar competitions. So we went up to New York and tried out, and Demar Kramer was the coach, the little German guy who was an incredible coach. And we tried out, and I ended up making the top 20, so we first game we played against Poland. So we go over to Poland like on a Sunday, and we played Wednesday, and it was like 22 degrees and it was snowing, and I had gloves on, and I was starting. I ended up starting. I had gloves on, and the referee comes over and he goes, "Hey," in some language, told me to take my gloves off, and I was arguing with him like, I'm
fucking cold.
I'm cold. I'm not taking my gloves off. And the linesman come over, Kramer comes over and he goes, "Hey, you got to take your gloves off." I'm like, "Well, why? I'm freezing." So I took my gloves off, and I needed them because we lost 7-0. I mean, I touched the ball like 8 times because they centered it off. That was the only time we touched. And a week later, we played their Olympic team and lost 3-0. And then we go to Italy. And Canaglia was on Giorgio, and we're walking around Italy, going to Rome and going to all these places. And again, when you're doing it, you're not really, you're not sightseeing, taking pictures. You're just we train, you got to eat, got to take a nap, got to play. So we go to the game, and we're walking around Italy, and people are holding up 3 fingers going, Giorgio. We're like, who's Giorgio?
Who the hell is Giorgio?
We didn't know. So we lost 10-0, and then... And if we would have won or tied, I might still be over there because we lost 10-0 and we couldn't leave the stadium because they were throwing rocks and stuff at our bus and everything else. They hated Americans. This is 1975.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was crazy. And Mexico was different. We played in the altitude and 40,000 people screaming. And we were winning 1-0 at halftime. And
who scored that goal?
I did.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. At halftime,
I think I remember.
They had to delay the thing because our locker room was getting hammered by rocks and bottles. Second half didn't start for like 45 minutes late. So we ended up losing 3-1, which is probably a good thing there too. So I played in 4 games and we lost like a total of 14-1 in those games.
I think Altros had a similar goals against in his career.
Well, I mean, that was a unique time.
Oh, of course it was.
Al played in the U.S. when they played against Poland in Chicago, and the crowd was for the Polish team.
Oh, yeah. All the Andersonville Poles.
Right.
Probably like 150,000 of them.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Real quick, last question then along the lines of that. A couple weeks ago, whenever the national team was here, how special was it to be with your peers?
That was one of the coolest things in my whole soccer career was being down there with Don Draghi, Bursig, Carl Gentili, Gary Rensing, and Pat McBride. Al wasn't there for some reason. And everybody, it's funny, everybody there knew everybody like very well. We're years apart. Steve Tritchie was there, Perry Vanderbeck, Tampa Bay. And the national team honored us by giving us a jersey and a medal. It was one of the, and again, my grandsons got to go, so they got to see me in that situation. So it kind of add validity to all the goofy
solidified the
pictures
stories.
They see these pictures like, "Oh my God, you had hair like a girl." I said, "Yeah, it was the '70s."
Right.
If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with. I mean,
hey, no Photoshop there. That's real locks right there. Denny, thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, this has been a blast. I mean, this is why we do this show.
It's fun.
Like
it's fun. You guys do a great job. Kudos to you guys and to your sons. Good luck. That's awesome.
Well, and also
awesome.
The thousands of people that you've coached on how to coach are still doing that today, and it's growing and growing and growing.
Good.
And so thank you for not only joining us knuckleheads, but for what you've done over the last 50 years.
You two knuckleheads.
Yeah, I for me, this is going to be one of those ones when I get in the car and I drive home. I may not have the radio on for a minute, and I'll just be smiling because you may not know this, but you and your family and your son, who was a little younger than me, you guys have a fond place in my heart, and you're a big reason why I love this game.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate being on the show. I loved it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, and we will we'll see you next. Let me check my calendar. Wednesday, Denny's, South City. Moon's over my hammy on me, man.
Right.
Hey, until next time, Soccer Dad Pod. We're on our way out. Like, follow, share. It's the least you can do. We'll catch you next time. Thanks, Patch. Beers were cold. See ya.